So I, of course, decided to buy a car that I had been thinking about for a long time. I've taken pictures. I made a video describing it yesterday, a few days ago actually by now. But finally I want to show it off. So this is a car that I've been thinking about buying for a long time. I first gained an interest in it when I started getting into cars back about 15 years ago or so. And it was cool, like cars with few cylinders that were loud and obnoxious, and relatively, I say relatively fast because it's not a V8, so you can't really compare that. So, but it was, a dream car for a lot of people. And I finally decided to buy it, just to see how it was. I should have test driven a little bit more. Excuse the garage, it's a little bit of a mess. I decided to buy a Subaru Wrx, and I removed the stock wheels. And put some, it has a little bit of road rash, it looks like. And put some Rota G's. Forgot the actual name of them, but it was a pain in the ass getting them on. And I still have the stock wheels. That was really annoying getting those on. But luckily I took them to Discount Tire and they put them on for me. It wasn't that difficult. So the reason I bought this car is, okay, in my perspective, it looked nice. It was in good condition. It had minimal rust, minimal problems. But a big reason was the access port. Kind of give it a dead giveaway. But another thing I noticed, on top of it being a clean car, it had expensive floor mats. Now, it's naive to say that expensive floor mats, are the number one reason, but most people don't buy expensive floor mats for cars that they don't give a shit about. So like this car, it has the gauges, which loud and obnoxious, which is cool. Like, that's what I wanted to an extent. It's not as fulfilling as I thought it would be. Part of the problem I have with it is it doesn't quite have the power that I was looking for. I made the mistake of doing minimal research, so I knew I wanted this car. I've done research in the past, but I bought a 2008, and I didn't realize that it only had 225 horsepower or so stock. Wow, okay. Anyway, didn't realize it had 225 horsepower stock. So I did minimal research in that aspect, but it did everything that I wanted it to. And then once I drove it for a few months, I was like, okay, this isn't enough power for me. I'm used to muscle cars with like V8s and trucks with V8s and stuff like that. So that's what I'm used to. At least a V6, because I had a G37 with 330 horsepower, which was just under like 290 to the wheel, something like that. So that was my own fault, and I'm probably going to lose money for it. But I'm definitely looking at selling this vehicle at some point soon, and then just saving up and getting the car I actually want. The other problem is it's a cheap, I wouldn't say cheap, let me rephrase that. It's an affordable, budget-friendly starter car in the sense that you could do a lot to it. There's a lot of parts. You can get parts pretty easily. There's part out WRXs all the time, which isn't a good thing. But at the end of the day, it's just people modifying these cars, not knowing what they're doing, and then expecting them to last forever. But a big thing that I liked about this car is it had records, which I couldn't get because the dealership just refused to give me the records because it had customer information, which was perfectly understandable. So they wouldn't give me the record, but I know in my mind, you know, they did the timing chain, they did the exhaust professionally, they did virtually everything that was installed in this car, aftermarket, OEM, you know, maintenance was done professionally. So it's not some dude in his shop, it's some dude in his garage trying to modify this car. It's somebody that knew what they were doing. So in theory, I shouldn't have problems with this car. So that was a huge giveaway. That's kind of, I would say forced me, but encouraged me to buy this car. And there's some minor modifications. It's not like major modifications that are going to cause problems for me in the future. I can still daily this car. Cold start's really loud, but you know, everything works as it should, and that's basically what I wanted. I wanted a car, and I was a little surprised because I was looking for a stock WRX, and then I found this car that had what I wanted it to have, what I would have paid thousands of dollars. So I saved thousands of dollars on this car. That was another reason why I purchased it, in spite of my concerns. And you know, it was super easy for me to decide. So there is the car on startup. Has an NVIDIA exhaust. The hood, it has what seems to be a stock stock setup for the most part. It has an AEM intake. It has really wanted to get the alternator cover replaced to something less stock looking. The only thing so far I have had to do is replace the battery on the car, which isn't a huge deal. I believe the struts have been replaced at some point with something a little bit more sporty because the ride is extremely harsh in my personal opinion. So that's something that I would replace if I kept the car. So it's underpowered in my personal opinion. Whereas a little rough. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an economy car with some modifications to make it faster, which is cool when you're looking for something cheap. But I wanted something that I could daily, something that is comfortable for the family, something that I can enjoy for long term, that type of thing. So I think here within the next couple months, probably be selling it and getting something a little bit more comfortable. Thinking a Lexus IS F. It's not a stick. Stick isn't available for it, so that's definitely a bummer. But at the end of the day, it'll be something that I can enjoy for a long time. Something that's great for trips. Something that's great for, you know, just going to the store, going out to eat. I mean, it's a well-rounded car. So above everything else, It's a good car. Like if I was to drive it by myself, if I was to daily drive it just for me, the WRX is perfect. But it's not a car that I'm just planning on, you know, going to the store with, etc., etc. I actually have to drive typically an hour to work, and I don't want to put a bunch of miles on a newer, rare Lexus IS F, but it's definitely going to be nicer than this car, having to deal with it every day. So